Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
7:36, O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here on this Monday morning, a busy one at that. Coming up at 8:05, Governor Scott Walker, now president of YAF. We'll talk about what's going on in Wisconsin. They just approved those ballot boxes, the drop boxes again. At 8:35, Selena Zito out of Western Pennsylvania for the Washington Examiner. We'll tell you whether Joe Biden's visit to Philly makes a difference. And we'll also ask if a Vice President J.D. Vance running mate choice might change things around in Western Pennsylvania. That's all coming up. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Morning.
Good morning to you. Joining us right now is Caroline Sunshine, who, oh my God, just saying your name makes us happy. Caroline, thanks for joining us.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, Sunshine. Thank you for having me.
Deputy Director of Communications for the Trump for President campaign. And Jason Miller sort of broke a little news about half an hour ago on Fox. He said that as of this time next week, we will know who the running mate is. So who's it going to be, Caroline?
Well, since we're just among friends, let me go ahead and say
it's D.C. No one talks here.
That's right. Well, I can tell you, the only person who obviously knows who President Trump will select for vice president is President Trump himself. However, he has said that at our convention next week, he's looking forward to sharing that news. And I would also just contrast that with, we couldn't be prouder to have President Trump as our nominee. And we as the press team are fielding, endless questions about endless speculation as to who President Trump's vice president is going to be. Versus you contrast that with Joe Biden, where they are fielding endless questions about if their VP nominee is going to be their nominee. So
yeah.
Couldn't be a clearer contrast. We're so proud to have President Trump as our nominee. And, President Trump has a way of when he has something to share, it usually makes news. So I won't get ahead of the president.
Well, it's true. You guys are, sort of scratching your head wondering who your opponent's going to be. I got to ask, as remarkable as this last week has been since the debate, does it make your job a little more challenging not knowing exactly who your opponent's going to be going forward?
We've seen that no matter who they choose to put up, nobody can beat President Trump in the polls. And so my advice to the Democrat Party is just total surrender now. Save yourself millions of dollars, do the right thing for the country, sit this presidential election cycle out, because you're either stuck with Joe Biden at the top of your ticket, and anybody that you could hope to replace him with can't beat President Trump, as we just saw in the latest round of polls. So the American people are very clear about who they want, and even voters in the Democrats' own voting base are very clear about who they want. And it's President Donald J. Trump back in the White House.
Yeah, one thing that I think has amazed people is President Trump's silence as President Biden has done not just the debate, but follow-up interviews where he seems not quite there. Has there been a decision on sort of a strategic decision to not respond to these Biden, whether it be that they fed a radio station the questions, that Biden doesn't really talk extemporaneously. He even takes his teleprompter to fundraisers in the Hamptons. There's a lot of good stuff, but nothing from the campaign. Tell us about the strategy behind that.
Yes, well, I've gotten the question of President Trump seems to be laying low, and my answer is not as low as Joe Biden's poll numbers. But look,
that's good.
But all right, but look, President Trump didn't just win that debate; he dominated it. I think it's hard to believe that the debate to end all debates, as I call it, was just, I believe, a little over a week ago, but President Trump's performance was so dominant. What you are watching is Joe Biden and the Democrats and the liberal mainstream media have to do cleanup on aisles 5, 6, and 7. We all had to suffer through that George Stephanopoulos interview as if having to watch that debate performance wasn't enough. I remember when George Stephanopoulos said airing an interview with President Trump would be journalistic malpractice.
Yeah.
But somehow a former Democrat White House communications director sitting down with Democrat in decline Joe Biden to do cleanup on aisle 5 is somehow an act of journalism. But here's the thing. We don't have anything to clean up. President Trump really made his presence and his positions very clear on that stage. I truly believe the American people wish the election was tomorrow and that they could cast their vote for President Trump and get Joe Biden out of the Oval Office immediately. So President Trump has been speaking directly to folks through Truth Social like he likes to do. We're planning our next rallies where we're headed to Pennsylvania and Florida. I mean, we are focused on how we can continue to bring President Trump's winning message to places all across this country. And we're doing a victory lap, not a cleanup.
Caroline, one quick follow-up on the Stephanopoulos interview. Stephanopoulos asked Biden a question about, why were you so, it was such a softball, so gentle how he treated Biden. But he said, why were you so out of sorts? And Biden at one point said, well, I kept hearing Trump yell at me from across the stage. And I became disconcerted. But the interview was done in a split screen format. That isn't true. Has there been any pushback on that? Have you guys said, hey, let's look at the whole video and see if Trump, because I didn't hear Trump doing what Biden said he did, which is talking over him or yelling at him from across the stage.
Well, it's a different excuse from Joe Biden every day. First, it's that he had a cold, then it's that he was tired, he almost fell asleep, he had a bad night, he had jet lag from a month ago. To be clear, it was not a bad night. It's been about 4 years under Joe Biden, and the American people don't want excuses. They want results. And, the liberal mainstream media has been every bit as complicit as the Democrat Party in concealing Joe Biden's decline and weakness from the American people. And they're continuing to do so with interviews like the Stephanopoulos. I love that. It was a Stephanopoulos softball. It's exactly what it was. This is exactly what the liberal mainstream media has been doing for the last 4 years for Joe Biden as this country has gone to hell in a handbasket. And now, of course, the new excuse seems to be blame President Trump, which has been the electoral strategy of the Democrat Party for the last 4 years as well. And newsflash to them, it's not working. President Trump is beating Joe Biden and any of your candidates in any and all swing state polls. And the American people, again, are very clear about who they want. And they want, the great news is, like I said, President Trump dominated that debate performance. I don't have to explain my candidate. The American people watched that debate. They watched those two split screens. It was very clear who was fit to serve and lead and who wasn't, and that was President Donald J. Trump.
Our guest is Caroline Sunshine from the Trump campaign. President Trump made a statement over the weekend distancing himself from Project 2025, which is a brainchild of not just the Heritage Foundation and our friend Kevin Roberts over there, but a lot of really great conservative groups who have put together some ideas about what could be achieved in reining back the out-of-control federal government and really sort of resetting us. I think President Trump would like to reset the direction of this country. So can you shed a little light on exactly what in Project 2025 the president finds objectionable, or is he just trying to communicate to voters that he's not beholden to those suggestions, but he's certainly not against what's in that program or in the recommendations, is he?
Yeah, President Trump said it best himself, as he often does. He doesn't have anything to do with Project 2025. Some of the things that are in there he agrees with, some of it he doesn't, and I'll let him elaborate on that. But President Trump's very clear. Nobody speaks for President Trump besides President Trump. However, President Trump has been very clear about some of the things that he would do on his first day in office. For example, like on day one, launching the largest criminal deportation in our country's history to get these criminal illegal immigrants out of our country. And I mean, we've had 10 million come across the southern border under Joe Biden, and we just had about an additional 2 million get amnesties under Joe Biden in the last month. And we know that this is a top priority for the American people when we see polling that says a majority of Americans, 62%, according to CBS, and a majority of Hispanics, I might add, want mass deportations for illegal immigrants. And we know immigration is one of the most important issues to the American people this election.
Hey,
Same thing with President.
Isn't immigration on the border the issue that Kamala Harris was single-handedly responsible for in the Biden administration? It would be amazing if she ended up being the nominee, huh?
The borders are Kamala Harris, of course.
All right, Caroline, we got to leave it there. I know that you guys are going to be busy ramping up to the convention next week and the announcement of the running mate. We appreciate you giving us some time. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much.
It is 7:45 WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes, first on the 5. One of the things in that Project 2025, I don't know if you read the fine print, every pillow replaced by a My Pillow. Oh, yeah. They could totally